Am I the antagonist for parking in my reserved parking spot? Hello everyone, I'm a 22-year-old female and currently in my last year of college. About a week ago I moved into my new apartment. The community is really small with 3 apartments buildings and a total of 28 apartments. Each apartment has one reserved cover parking spot that clearly states each apartment number on the overhang above the spot. The apartment also has uncovered spots that is open to any of the tenants or guests that come into the community. Saturday morning, my family and I arrived to the community to begin moving all my stuff into the apartment. As we drove in, we noticed a car was parked in my reserve spot, which was a bit annoying, but I said whatever, because 2 spaces away there was an uncovered spot I could park in the meantime. I parked. My family and I began the process of getting everything into the apartment. Once we finished, I came out to find the car was gone, which I thought, cool, they're gone, then moved my car in the space. The first few days at the new place were nice, just settled in, and there were no issues with my car spot. On Wednesday morning as I was heading out to campus, though, I noticed on the windshield of my car, a note was left that said, "This is a reserved spot. Please do not park here." I was annoyed but knew there wasn't much I could do, and I was heading out. So I took the note, snapped a picture to have as proof when I contacted management, and left. The next day I had work and my fieldwork placement for a class, which meant wouldn't be getting home till later around 8:30 p.m. When I got home that night, I found another car different from the first car parked in my spot again. I was annoyed since I couldn't do much once again, so I parked in an uncovered spot and wrote a note stating that this isn't their spot, it was for my apartment. Please don't park here. The next day I woke up to find the car still there with the note. I had some errands to do, so I thought it would give them some time to see the note, realize their mistake, and know not to park there anymore. A few hours go by and I come back to see that the new car was no longer there, but the first car from when I first moved in was in its place instead. Now I'm pissed off because they clearly got my message and are choosing to ignore it. So I texted the manager about it again, letting him know everything that has happened from the last couple days and asking whether or not they had gave my spot to someone else. I ended up telling some friends about everything that happened while we were hanging out last night, and while most people in the group said I was in the right, one of the girls in the group said that I was an asshole for texting management instead of trying to resolve it first with my neighbors because they may need the spot to get to their apartment easier, and now I could be causing an issue for them. I don't think I'm the ass since it's my reserve spot, but her words kind of stuck with about whether I might be causing an issue for my neighbor. So Reddit, am I the antagonist? It's a reserve spot. You should have taken the license plate number and reported it to the property manager on day 1. Your neighbor is going to keep playing this game until the car gets towed. If they have a legitimate reason to need your specific spot, then they have an obligation to proactively come to you, not just take it. You pay for the apartment and the allocated parking space that goes with it. Personally, I'd leave a final warning note that if the car is not moved by a certain date, then it will be towed, and follow through on getting it removed if they refuse to do so. Email this to building management as well, so there is a paper trail. Am I the antagonist for ignoring my mother after she sold my cat? I, 16 female, have been ignoring my mother, 45 female, for the past few weeks after she sold my cat. This is the second time it has happened. Before we moved to another state, I had a cat I loved for years, but we had to sell him since we could not bring her. When we moved into our new home, she got me another kitten that I raised for 2 years. I loved my cat dearly because I did not want to lose another cat again, and he became my best companion. However, he would scratch the furniture sometimes, and that made my mother angry. A few weeks ago, she suddenly told me someone is coming to buy my cat about 10 minutes before they arrived. I was obviously in anguish and cried and held my cat for the last time before I had to let him go. I cried for weeks straight and did not talk to my mother at all, and now she is angry at me and telling me that it was my fault because I was the one who let him get sold, because I didn't stop her, but I couldn't stop her. Because he was forced out of my hands. I don't think my relationship with her will ever be fixed, and I don't want to do anymore. Other family members are telling me I shouldn't ignore her because it is rude, but I just can't bring myself to talk to her anymore. So am I the antagonist? I realized I have missed some important points. The cat also tore up some carpet, which my mom was extremely angry about as carpet is expensive. Secondly, my parents did pay for all the litter and food for the cat and cat trees. Sometimes I believe it might have been the best decision as my mother never wanted to buy him any toys. And when I would buy toys for my cat, she would get mad and tell me stop wasting my money. I hope whoever has him now looks after him and buys him everything I couldn't give him. She never asked me for compensation for any damages. However, I would have paid them if she did ask. She gave me half of the money from selling the cat, which is about $70, but I have not touched it because I just can't accept it. I am upset because I had plans of taking him with me to college so we would both be free. Now I'm really determined to get into a good college so I can move away from my mother, but it's just not the same. I don't think I can ever get another cat again. I think my mental health is decreasing as well. I just don't know how to live anymore really, since I really loved my cat. I couldn't go to school for a while and I've had mental breakdowns nearly every day since my cat was sold. My cat really was the only thing keeping me going, but I don't know anymore. I know this might seem stupid to some people that I have such an attachment to an animal, but I really loved my cat. Not the antagonist. Your mom is a major for taking your pet not once but twice, blaming you and trying to guilt trip you into thinking it's your fault. It doesn't matter if it's her house, it's your cat, your property. It's manipulation and abuse to sell your property and essentially your infant per se. She is losing control and knows you are close to leaving. It's absolutely her fault, not yours. It's heartbreaking and I would never forgive her. Just imagine what else she could have done. I'd leave as soon as I can. I asked my BF if I would eventually be added to the title of his home. My boyfriend and I have been together for 2 years, and he recently purchased a home. The house is in his name only, which we agreed was the best route to take since we don't think it's smart to buy a home with a boyfriend-girlfriend. We currently rent a house together and have for the last year and a half. This has raised some questions and sparked conversations between us. As of now, the plan is to have me contribute rent to half of his mortgage. He also is completely renovating the house, so any free time I have, I spend at the house helping get it in shape for us to move in. He is including me in the process and asking me what I like, and he calls the home ours. My boyfriend is paying for all the renovations himself. I offered to help contribute where I can, and he turned that down. I wanted to help contribute because 1, I don't ever want there to come a time where he can hold his house over my head by saying he was the only one who contributed to its renovations, and 2, I have been under the impression that eventually it would legally be ours, and I want to feel like I put money into it. Our long-term goal as a couple is to eventually get married, hopefully within the next 2 years. I brought it up last night and asked if eventually when we get married, will my name go on the deed of the house. I told him that I'm thinking about it because I will be helping him pay off the house and contributing to his investment equity. I feel that if I do that for a few years and I never get any stake in the home, I might feel resentment towards that fact. I also brought up how eventually I would want to have more rights, like not being able to just be kicked out on a whim. I also talked about how if I'm investing a lot of my time and energy into his home, I would eventually want that to be recognized in the form of getting my name added onto it. Not to mention, we will have to live in the house while there's no kitchen, so it's definitely going to be a difficult process. My boyfriend asked why I cared so much and kind of accused me that I was after his money. He said I was acting sketchy. He also said so just because I'm the breadwinner I have to give you half of all my things? It hurt my feelings because I have never been about his money. I have a job, work full-time, and bust my ass. Unfortunately, I work as a nurse, and I don't make nearly as much as him. I wouldn't be able to buy a home by myself unless I had my parents lend me the money. We currently split our rent 50-50. He got kind of heated about the conversation. He said that we don't need to talk about this right now. I, on the other hand, feel it's an important conversation to have in the beginning. He eventually came around and said he would consider putting my name on the house when we get married. As much as I want to view his house as our home, it doesn't feel like it to me. He makes all the decisions regarding renovations and is making it how he wants it. I've offered input and he shuts down the ideas I have had. For example, I like the tile, and he said, well, you aren't the one paying for it. So if you want that, then you can start thinking about if you want to invest in this. But then as soon as I brought up putting in money for the renovations, he shut me down. I just feel like he's building the home he wants, and I'm along for the ride. I should add one of my fears is that he'll hold his house over my head. In a few arguments that we've had in our current home that we both rent together, he said, this is my house, get out. I feel a little confused now about if I'm being unreasonable. I want to make sure I'm approaching this the right way. Is there anything else I should do moving forward? To reiterate, I do not want to be added to the title right now. I was asking if I would be added when we get married. I can relate to your situation where you are essentially a tenant in your own home with your partner. It's smart not to pay for renovations if you're not on the title. When you eventually get married, it will be important to renegotiate and potentially get your name on the title and mortgage. It's a decision to make before tying the knot to ensure both parties feel financially secure in the long run. I just got engaged, and my fiance's friend revealed to me that my fiance only started dating me because of how similar I look to his ex. My fiance, Marcus, proposed to me 2 weeks ago, and obviously from the title of this post, I said yes. We met during our 3rd year of law school at a bar that wasn't very far from our university's campus. It was meant to be just a one-night stand, but we decided to take things further in the morning and we started dating. Some semi-relevant information is that I'm South Asian, but I'm on the lighter side, so some people think I'm white until I say my name. Last night, we had a small engagement party with both of our friend groups at our apartment. It was a fun night with us just drinking, shooting the shit, and recalling moments from when we first started officially dating. That is until Marcus's friend, Brian, pulled me to the side when everyone was starting to head home and we were cleaning up. Brian said he felt like there was something I should know before I get married to my fiancé. Brian confessed that Marcus told him when we first met that I looked almost identical to his high school sweetheart Sophie, who broke up with him shortly after graduating college. Apparently, my fiancé essentially did a double take once he first saw me because he thought I was Sophie. Marcus only wanted to date me so he could work his feelings for her out of his system. After that happened, Marcus would dump me and wipe his hands clean of the situation. One of the things that he said to Brian was that my race spoiled the fantasy a bit, but since I looked so pale, it was easier to pretend I was white like Sophie. Marcus did eventually legitimately fall for me and ditched his initial plan, but for the first 4 months of our relationship, he imagined that I was his ex. Brian said that I can do whatever I wish with this information, but I should give serious thought as to whether Marcus and I should get married. He left after that and I was left alone with Marcus in the apartment. Marcus went to bed after everyone was gone since he drank more than me. I stayed in the living room for hours, just thinking over what Brian told me, until I eventually went to our bedroom and got 3 hours of sleep in. I want to hope that Brian is just lying to stir up drama, but there's no reason for him to, considering it would hurt him more to lie and being caught doing so. Besides, I looked up pictures of Sophie on Instagram and yup, we do essentially look identical. We both have short dark hair, round eyes, light skin, and a long nose. I've always wanted to try to grow my hair out, but Marcus always said he liked me with short hair better. I feel sick over that now, knowing what I know. Marcus just thinks my weird behavior is just because I have a headache. He's out right now to get ibuprofen from the drugstore and fast food for us. I haven't told him what Brian revealed to me yet. I just want some advice on how to deal with this because I'm totally lost right now. Well, you just need to talk to your fiancé. Tell him that you received information that he was only dating you to get over his ex-GF. Then tell him that he can't lie because you've investigated and saw the resemblance. I kind of wish Brian would have told you around 2 years ago instead of waiting for you to get engaged. But it is what it is. Think about what you would do if it turns out to be true. Am I the antagonist for telling my mom I'm not her doll? I am 16 and my mother likes dressing me and my 3 other siblings in matching clothes and colors, but now I want more freedom. For example, some weeks ago she wanted me to wear a dress I've always said I don't like cause it doesn't look good on me. But her mentality is that if she likes it on me, I have to wear it. I'm convinced this is where 90% of my self-esteem issues started. Trying to convince me to wear the dress, she asks my sisters if the dress is pretty. From experience, they know if they say anything but yes, she'll get angry with them and accuse us of ganging up against her. So their opinion meant little to me. She has been doing this for years, and I finally got fed up and said I am not wearing the ugly dress and that I am not her doll that she can dress up. I admit I may have taken it too far with that comment, but then she started yelling at me and said I was being disrespectful. She insisted that I have to listen to what she says because she's the parent, and if I don't appreciate what she's done for me, she can leave me and walk out of my life because I stress her out too much. I get it, my mother has been under a lot of stress since my dad left. She wasn't working when he left, so it's been really hard. I try to be considerate and give my mom an easy time, but this has been something that has been happening for a long time and I was done. I tried to explain that wanting control over something as simple as clothing is not being disrespectful, and that if I did disrespect her, I was sorry. However, she continued to criticize me, saying I looked bad and scoffing whenever she looked at me. She claimed that because of my behavior, my younger siblings, 6 female and 11 female, were following me and refusing to wear what she chooses for them. I started crying because I was upset and felt guilty, so I wore the dress she wanted me to wear. When I talked to her about it, she said that I decided to wear the dress, so I shouldn't be mad at her. However, she also promised that she would no longer meddle in my clothing choices. You have to understand, I have no problem matching with my siblings, so I usually ask what colors they'll be wearing and choose an outfit accordingly. I don't even mind when she gives me input or outfit ideas. It's only when she forces me to wear something I don't like or feel comfortable in that there's a problem. A couple of weeks later, today, she told me she had no colors in mind and to choose anything. But when I chose my outfit, she told me I had to wear a different dress because she had changed her mind and wanted us to match. I was upset because I was wearing an outfit I liked. The taxi was arriving in 10 minutes, so I said it was okay if we didn't match for one day. But she said if I didn't match, I couldn't go. I stood my ground and said I'm not changing, so she told the taxi to leave without me. I'm sitting home right now and I feel like I overreacted. Am I the asshole for not listening to my mother? It seems like your mom is struggling with some mental health issues and clinging to you out of fear. It's important for you to set boundaries and assert your independence. Having control over your clothing choices is essential for your self-expression. Maybe try talking to her calmly and expressing your feelings when you're not arguing. Encourage her to seek help if she's struggling, but ultimately it's important for you to prioritize your own well-being and autonomy. Stay strong. Am I the antagonist for refusing to help my father after he ruined my vacation? This all started several years back. I, 23 male, was always very close to my father, have always had his back. Even when my brothers and mother despised him, I always defended him. I still love my father, of course, but the last few years have been very difficult for our relationship. Honestly, I've grown to resent his personality and have grown wiser to his many flaws that he hid from me for most of our relationship. He has a drug issue and is fiscally irresponsible, spending lots of his money on loose women and other stupid things. I spent a lot of my late teens working helping to pay bills and bail us out of situations because he simply refused to be responsible with his money. I'm not totally innocent here. I lived in denial of these things for a long time, even though the evidence was very obvious. But once I found out about it, I started to throw all my effort into helping him with his addictions and trying to get his spending under control. My father makes good money. He works in a lucrative trade. The fact that he was always broke should have been a clue, but hindsight is 20/20. But he just does not spend it wisely. 2 years ago, I loaned my father a few $1,000s to help him get on his feet, get his car working, find a place to live, and some other small things. This wasn't all at once, but over the course of a few months. I assumed he would pay me back because he made good money, and at the time, I could afford it. I had saved that money for a vacation me and my friends were planning, but I had enough time to build that nest egg back up before the time came. Well, that didn't work out. I broke my foot and was unable to do the job I previously did before, and recovery took forever. I told my dad that I needed that money back 6 months in advance. I won't bore you with the details on how I know this, but instead of paying me back, he spent the next several months blowing his money on prostitutes, and when the time came, did not pay me a penny back. I missed the trip, which was likely the last trip my friends and I will all be able to take as a group, as growing up makes it hard. I can't explain how important this trip was to me. I called my dad and cut him off after a brief argument. Now to the problem. It's been about a year now, and my dad is very sick and needs someone to help him out. It would be best if he could stay with one of us. My brothers kind of just seem to expect me to forgive and forget now, but I've told them I'm not helping him at all, and they are suddenly acting like I'm overreacting over what they say was just a trip. I'm tired of wasting my time helping him when he dug himself into this hole. But he did raise me, and he did help me find my first job and such, and we spent a lot of time together playing Dungeons and Dragons with my friends. Growing up, I love him, but I don't even feel like he's the same person anymore. Do I owe him though? The idea of him rotting away in some homeless shelter does also make me want to cry. Not the antagonist. Tell your brothers that you are happy to give the same amount of help to your father as they do. That will shut them up. But the ruined trip was just the straw that broke the camel's back. Your dad effed around and got found out. He will just have to deal with the fallout. Don't assume he will pay you back, especially with a father like that. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.